What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Moto Fever Media. Today we're going to dive into whether or not Chase Sexton needs to be watching over his shoulder for Cooper Webb this weekend at Anaheim 2 during the Triple Crown. Also, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the other drama that's going on, as well as a few other things that I think we need to keep our eye on this weekend, especially as it is a Triple Crown and it's kind of a pivotal point in the championship battle. And then last thing I want to talk about is in the 450 class, there is exactly 2 riders that have not been lapped yet in these first 3 rounds of racing. I want you to think about that and try to guess who that might be. And at the end of the video, we'll see if you're right. So, first up, let's talk about Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton, the number 1 and the number 2. Now, there is plenty of people talking about this. There's plenty of video of it out there. So I don't think we need to necessarily re-dissect it again. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But what I do want to talk about is whether or not Cooper Webb if he has a target on Chase's back this weekend, and if Chase needs to be concerned about Cooper Webb any more than he normally already would be, as obviously Webb is a great and aggressive rider. So I think anybody out there is going to respect him and be concerned about him. But what I'm talking about is, does Chase need to be like, oh my gosh, Cooper Webb is coming to kill me? Now, if you watch the video, which I'm sure most people have seen, Chase gets out of the way for Aaron, his teammate, and then Chase runs into Cooper as he goes by. Cooper Webb was in second, closing in on Aaron for the win. So therefore, was Chase playing team tactics and trying to ruin Cooper Webb's race? And the short answer, in my opinion, is no, he was not. Could he have gotten out of the way a lot better? Yes, he could have just pulled over going down the start straight. Hindsight 2020. But you guys got to understand, he is the defending champion. He is trying to move as far forward in the pack as he can. Yes, he knows he needs to get out of the way of Webb. He's trying to get out of the way of Webb as efficiently as possible for himself. He's not worried about necessarily how he's going to affect Webb. He's not worried about running into Webb. He was not trying to take out Webb, because the thing is, he's risking taking himself out, and there's none of that, in my opinion, was going on. The only thing that happened was Chase made some bad judgment, and he didn't realize where the ruts were coming together. I don't think they actually intersected. They were just very close to each other, and that's how they were able to bump and still stay up. Obviously, they're great riders, so credit to that. But long story short, Chase wasn't trying to take out Webb. He should have got out of his way a little bit better. He did ruin Webb's race, and it is what it is. So now, is Webb like a freaking pissed off hornet going straight for Chase's front wheel this weekend? Absolutely not. He is not concerned about trying to ruin Chase's race. Chase was never concerned about trying to ruin Webb's race. Is Webb going to cut Chase any, slack? Definitely not. But was he ever going to cut him slack? Probably not. So I don't think much has changed. I think if they get locked into a battle this weekend, especially with it being a Triple Crown, there is a good potential of them coming, running into each other. Not literally, but just, they're gonna cross paths. And when they cross paths, we should definitely be paying attention. Is either one of them, I think, overly concerned about what the other one's doing? No. I think that they're going to be racing each other as hard as they can, just like they always would have. They're going to be, trying their best to beat each other, and they're going to be aggressive about it, and that's really all there is to it. Webb didn't get to where he's at by getting caught up worrying about what other people were doing on the track or what they did to him in the past. Sure, Webb plays his mind games, but he's not on the track thinking, all right, where's Chase? Oh, here he comes. I'm going to brake check him. No, he's not going to mess up. The only reason Webb would brake check Chase is if he thought he needed to in order to beat him, not because he wanted to mess up Chase's race. So I don't think you're going to see any more cat and mouse than you would have if that whole thing had not happened. Now, moving on to the other drama, which would be Jet versus Jason. Now, this one's a little bit different. I do think that it's not the same as far as, Webb and Sexton. I do think that that Jason would blow himself up to mess up Jet's race. Excuse me. Now, does Jason consider himself someone who can go out there and win? Yes. Is he there to win the title at this point? No, he's not. So, I think that Jason is a professional. I think he is a champion. So, I don't know how far he's really willing to take this. But after his recent social media posts, he's pretty much calling out Jet and saying he's a baby and he has to have a cleanup crew follow him around wherever he goes. And that already shows that he's willing to make things, he's not necessarily focusing on just the racing aspect. He's out there to cause a scene. So I do think that all of this is on Jet. None of this would have happened if he, Jet and Jason, they were racing hard. Jason's not going to let him by, and Jet, I believe, thought he should have been let by. So, when you pull over after the finish line and you flag someone down and they try to dismiss you and ride by and you want to grab them by the face, there's pretty much there's no excuse for that. And as much as Jason shouldn't have responded exactly the way he did, I honestly think he responded pretty well, considering that this guy's coming over here, getting in your face, and when you try to move on, he gets in your face even more. So with that being the case, especially, this is not like Michael Moseman or Shane McElrath or somebody. This is Jason Anderson. Like, you don't want to get in that guy's face. He's like one notch below Weston Pike. So, anyways, Jet made some very poor decisions. All this is on him. None of this would have happened if he would have just kept riding. Jason, I don't think he would have even given any of that racing a second thought. He did, Jet pushed him up. He blocked Jet, and it was racing, and that was it. And Jason would have never thought anything more of it after that. But now, obviously, it's this whole thing. So you have, basically Jason comes out after Jet's apology and pretty much says, look, Jet didn't even apologize. That was Lucas Myrtle, his agent. And on top of that, he even unfollowed me. I don't know what this kid's doing. And I'm adding to what he's saying here, but I'm paraphrasing what I think he's saying, is that, look, I don't care if you apologize or not, but if you have to have other grown men apologizing for you, that's pretty pathetic. So I don't think there's much respect for Jet, just in general, especially coming from Jason. We'll have to see how that shapes up. But if you listen to even Jet in the press day interviews last weekend before San Diego, he was pretty much saying, like, yeah, I don't even want to be in San Francisco anymore. That mud was ridiculous. They should have canceled it. I didn't care what place I got. I'm only 8 points down. I can make that up easily. Yada, yada, yada.
Would have canceled San Fran. It was a shit show, that one. No, my mental's still the same. We're coming in. We're still going championship. I mean, Eli got 9th at the first round too, and we're like close on points. So I'm only, I think, 7 or 8 points down. That's easy to close if I need to. So we did win. I went into the thing that's so dumb. I'm like, I don't want to get sick from this. It's cold. I'm going to get wet. I honestly didn't want to be there at that point in time. I'm like, dude, this thing just needs to end. We'll just get out of this place and just move on to the next. I didn't care what I was getting. Just what it is. I'll make the points up in somewhere else and that stuff, so I'm not too worried.
I don't care who you are or how fast you are or how many races you've won. That's pretty arrogant. So the fact that he could, he started out great, but now he's really starting to eat his words. So I'm not rooting against him, but it is refreshing to see that, at least there's other talent in the field that is making things interesting. So keep an eye on all that. Other than that, there's a lot more to talk about as far as all the other riders. I think Uduga just got to shout out Aaron Plessinger. He's not getting nearly the spotlight he deserves as far as he is the points leader. He's your last week's winner. And if it wasn't for all this other stuff, he would be all we're talking about right now. But there is all this other stuff. So shout out to AP. You are a legend. I hope he could stay in the title fight. There's a lot of things that could be said about that, but in a nutshell, I don't think he's going to be in the title fight all year, but I do think he's a much improved, so we'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to do some more videos before we get to race day, but I'm going to go ahead and end it there. So, with all that being said, I don't know if you guys have been thinking about who the only 2 riders this year that have been able to stay on the lead lap and complete all the laps this season so far. But just the fact that we've only done 3 races and there's only 2 people who have completed all the laps this far. Obviously, we've had 2 mud races, so it's kind of weird. But that's still crazy. That is crazy. Normally you get 6 or 7 guys that make all the main event starts in a Supercross season, which is still pretty crazy. That's not a whole lot, but the fact that you can get 6 or 7 guys that usually make all the main events, and yet obviously we have a lot more than that right now. But what I'm saying is only 2 people have completed all the laps, and it's only been 3 races. So that just shows how crazy things have been mixed up this whole season. So anyways, this is just my own research. It could be wrong, but as far as I could tell, the only 2 riders that have been able to stay on the lead lap this whole season is obviously the points leader, Aaron Plessinger. So well deserved. He's leading the points. And the second rider, a little less obvious, is Dylan Ferrandis. Just quietly back there doing his thing. He's not even on a factory team, almost retired, and yet he's the only other guy besides the points leader who's done every lap this season. So shout out to Dylan Ferrandis winning that heat race out in San Francisco, and honestly looking really good, and he's kind of a sleeper to get on that podium and maybe even, take home a win this season. So keep an eye on that. But other than that, thanks for watching.